Tosada Fujinami here, aka Tosada Senpai, and I am back after taking a break on Monday night because I was feeling like shit on Monday night with my back was hurting, my shoulders were hurting. It was so much pain that I could not even relax in my chair. I couldn't relax lying down in bed. I actually felt like I was getting sick at the same time too, like with a cold or sneeze or whatnot. And now, right before this podcast, a certain family member had to call to talk about a topic I didn't want to talk about and dampen my spirits. I was going to try to be a little bit more cordial, a little bit more friendly tonight during this podcast, but today I'm all fired up because I'm a little pissed right now at the moment. I'm tired of being used as a patsy in my family. So this is why you're gonna hear me be a little ranty tonight, because again, I'm also pissed off at what happened at home. But let's forget about that for now. Let's talk about tonight's topic. Originally, when I wanted to go on Monday, was talk about the Nintendo 2's new game types, the game key card, it's a bunch of shit. I'll talk about it on Monday. I'll talk about this upcoming Monday. Originally, I was going to talk about it this past Monday, but because I was sick, I couldn't talk about it. But instead of talking about the Nintendo Game Key card, because the Switch 2 Game Key card, Switch 2, I can talk about the Switch 2 for more time on end for more hours. But a new story broke where this past week Microsoft made some headlines where they're going to raise the prices of their Xbox consoles and some of their Xbox games, mostly the first party games. Now, I have an article that I'm gonna, again, I actually am working on some new layouts and a new design for this, not just whatever you see right now. But at the moment, I can't really do that, so for now, I can't show you the IGN article that I'm looking at, but I'm gonna get this IGN article at the moment. So, Microsoft, as of this past week, or starting from yesterday, May 1st, raised the price of their Xbox console. So, and again, this is just for the US. I will mention about the rest of the world as well, but for the US, the prices now for the Xbox have raised. So, for instance, the Xbox Series S 512 gigabytes went from 300 to 380. The S 1 terabyte went from 350 to 430. The Xbox X Digital went from 450 to 550, $100 boost. The Xbox Series X, again, the digital is the one without the disk drive. Now the Xbox X, the ones with the disk drive, went from 500 to 600. And the Xbox Series 2 terabyte Galaxy Special Edition went from 600 to 730. Yeah, you can see that they hiked the prices, and it's not consistent throughout the consoles because some went up by 80. Actually, let me think about this. Yeah, some went by 80. Some then went up by 100, and the most expensive one went to 130. Now, some of the controllers went up as well. The Xbox wireless controller, the core, went to 65. The color of the wireless controller went to 70. The special edition for it went to 80. The limited edition, which was 80, now went to 90. The Xbox Elite, which is what I have for one, the core, which is what I used to get, went up $10 from 140 to 150. The Xbox Series 2 full with the accessories, the back plates and all that, went from 180 to 200. The stereo headset to 65, and then the wireless headset went from 110 to 120. So the accessories went up, but not by a large amount, a little bit. Some went $10, maybe 20. So not too bad for the accessories. Now, you're probably all asking now, why is this important? And this is important because, as I mentioned before, the tariffs, and because of the Doofus' tariffs. Now, Nintendo tried to push their production from China to Vietnam for the US to avoid the exorbitant tariffs. Not all companies can do that. Now, Nintendo, here's the thing. Nintendo is a Japanese company, so it's very easy from Japan to talk to China, to talk to Vietnam. They're in the same time zone. They could pretty much they're closer, so they need to physically go to these places like Japan to Vietnam. It's a little bit of an easier trek. It's not completely overseas. Now Microsoft is a US based company. Do you think they're going to be able to move their manufacturing from China to another country? And here's the thing, do they have manufacturing of the Xbox and their accessories in another country? I don't know. Unfortunately, I didn't do the research for this to figure out where they're doing their manufacturing. But from what I can read and what I've heard on the discourse on Twitter, is the answer is it's not as easy for Microsoft to move their manufacturing from China to another country that has less tariffs. So unfortunately, as much as they want to escape raising prices, they have to. And this isn't the first time that a company has done this. Sony did this for the PS4 or PS5. They did it for one of their PlayStations before. During the middle of a console generation or the middle of the lifespan of a current console, they had to raise prices. Now, did Microsoft want to raise prices at this point? For the console, probably not. I'm about to talk about games, and that's a different story. For the console, probably not. And the reason why they won't want to raise prices is because if you look at the sales numbers for Microsoft for the Xbox, those consoles have gone way the freaking way down. Again, Nintendo Switch, the original Switch and the Switch OLED, the sales are so high up. The PS5, even with the PS5 Pro, they're respectable numbers. They're not that great compared to the Switch, but they're still there. Xbox Series S and X, yeah, it's a spiral. Why do you think Microsoft is so willing to have their games go onto Steam very fast? Or they're okay, they think about putting their games onto Sony PlayStation consoles. Or even they're in partnership with Nintendo because they want to have a presence on Nintendo Switch. Because Microsoft can tell that their console is not as popular. Now, again, maybe it's because it's an American company. Maybe because their first-party exclusives aren't as good or aren't as they don't appeal as much to the casual audience as much as like the Sony exclusives or especially the Nintendo exclusives. There's many reasons why Microsoft Xbox is not very popular as much as the other game makers or game consoles, and this is why a raise in price of these is very even this much is detrimental. Now you might be asking, the tariffs in China are 145%, right? But the raises, again, let's see. We have an Xbox Series X raised from 500 to 600. That's only a raise of 20% off the console price, the sticker price. It is 20%. So, but wait a minute, that's not 145. How are they gonna make up for that and not lose money on the Xbox? The key is they decide not to raise so much in the US price. But I didn't read the prices, but they did raise the prices of the Xbox consoles across the world. So everywhere around the world, the EU, Asia, the other markets, let's say Mexico, Canada, every other market is seeing the Xbox console raise in price. And the reason why they're doing this is because they're trying to use that extra profit around the world to help pay for the tariffs in the US so that the US consumer does not eat up all the prices. Now, why would they do that? That's because Microsoft is a US company. They do not want to completely raise the price of the Xbox, let's say from 500 to $1250. That is a 145% increase because you have to pay 100% tariff. That's an extra 500, and then 45%. Let's say round to 50. That's an extra 250. So if Microsoft was to charge the U.S. all of the tariffs, they would have raised their Xbox Series X, for instance, from $500 to $1,250 just to be able to make as much as they can on the original cost of the Xbox Series X and pay the tariffs. So instead of having the U.S. pay, again, they're raising by 100. So instead of having the U.S. consumer pay the extra $650, they decide to spread that around through the rest of the world. And that's how they're going to figure out how to pay the tariff. Now, in the short term, this is going to cost Microsoft a lot Because you know why? They're thinking that people around the world will buy the Xbox and help pay for the US tariffs. However, there's no guarantee that's going to happen. And they're still selling the Xbox in the US, which means they're going to have to pay the tariff first and hope that they can recoup the loss later. This is different than what Nintendo was thinking of doing where they decided to stop the pre-orders. They were going to even consider raising the price, but because they had moved enough to Vietnam, they didn't have to raise it even further. Else, Nintendo's going to have to come back at some point and think about either across the board console price increase of the Switch 2 or just focus on the US. Because they cannot produce all the time in Vietnam, they're going to have to produce in China again. Because it's going to be hard to keep doing this flip-flopping across the border. So, why am I saying this? Again, I want to say that this sucks. I agree with people saying this sucks. It is not good for the consumer that the Xbox is going to raise in price. But do not blame Microsoft for this. They are trying to continue to have a bottom line. Again, you have to think of this from how a corporation is viewing this. It's not fair, but this will help you understand what type of decision you need to make and blame the right person and not just the corporation. Here's the thing. Microsoft is a publicly traded company in a U.S. stock exchange. What that means is they have stakeholders, shareholders, stockholders who are banking on the profits of this company being as high as they can to get as much money as they can and wealth from they can. Because the more profit and money that the company has, especially if they line up for a rainy day, the more the value of the stock goes up, the more equity that people have in the company, the more money the investors have. That's how corporations work. If you don't like it, then don't buy their products. Don't care about their products. That's all you have to do. Don't complain to the company that this is happening. Now, why are they raising prices? Did Microsoft want to raise prices because they wanted to? No. They rose prices because of two reasons. Their production, again, and this is a U.S. company. So if you are going to blame someone by blaming Microsoft, you're also blaming yourself because you, as an American, would be put in a situation similarly. And I'm going to tell you this is right now, here's the right person to blame will be coming up soon. Now, Microsoft is an American-based company who has banked on their production and manufacturing in China to save on costs so that you as a consumer don't have to pay, let's say, $800, $900 for an Xbox because it was produced in the US. Trust me, the manufacturing cost is shot through the roof. Now, they're manufacturing in China. They now have to pay a tariff because of the fact that they have to ship it from China. Now, Microsoft, again, tariffs, you have to pay that as a company up front when that comes into the country. So Microsoft has to pay that $750 immediately to the government, which means that they were originally charging $500, right? Now they have to, it's still the $500. They have to raise to $600 because of the tariff, but they still have the government's still taking $750 of it. They are still losing money on every Xbox that gets shipped here. You guys are complaining about Nintendo not footing the loss. They couldn't foot everything. Microsoft is telling you they're footing the bill entirely right now, hoping that the rest of the world will up their Xbox purchases, consumption, so they can help get a profit and help foot the bill so that you, even though you're paying $600, they're still losing $750. They're still losing $150 because they have to pay at least $750 for the tariff. So I see the discourse, Microsoft being greedy and all that. If you think of how how much tariff they're paying and how much they're charging for the console, you'd be like, oh wow, they're actually footing a loss right now. Every Xbox sold in the US is a loss to them right now. Every Xbox. Because they're not charging 145% surcharge on the Xbox, only 20%. They're losing so much money. They're going to lose so much money coming soon because there's no guarantee that Doofus is going to let go of the tariffs. And I'm going to tell you the blame very soon on this. So right now they're charging extra right now because the money they're gonna take in right now is to pay for the tariffs. Because once that the kickoff here comes along, they're gonna lose so much money on each Xbox. Like I said, they're losing at least 150 on each Xbox. They're only charging 100 or 20%. They're losing money to help you not to foot the bill for the rest of it. So if you're complaining that the Xbox is too expensive, yes, it is. However, why are they doing it? Because they're going to get killed by the tariffs. Even now, with the bump in Xbox price, they're still going to get killed. This is why hardware manufacturing is so delicate and much harder to comprehend. Video games, and I'm going to change my tune about the video games soon. The price that Microsoft are going to charge for their first party games, but for the console, the game consoles, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, they're all losing money on the console. You think they're not? They are. Nintendo was able to get to Vietnam, but Microsoft can't escape it. Sony may not escape this. They're going to be charging. Microsoft is hoping that the rest of the world is going to buy more to help pay for the cost of the tariff. And even when the tariffs do hike, they're still losing money off each console. So let's be a little understanding of why Microsoft has to do this for the console. They are not trying to blow the price out the door to help you people save money on the console. So that's why, like I said, with the console, I don't blame Microsoft. They have to do this because, unfortunately, and again, I'm going to put it out there right now, we can all blame this on the Doofus and his tariffs. He is trying to run the government by himself, run the economy by himself, ignoring the economists, ignoring Congress, ignoring the judicial system. So again, you guys say this, you shouldn't worry about what the Doofus is doing. What he's doing is impacting everything. So don't be aware of what he's doing. Again, and don't think the what at face value. Think of the who, what, where, when, why, and how of these things happening. Now, I went on my rant about why Microsoft deserves to be not be bashed so much for the console raised in prices. However, I'm not going to be lenient towards them in the game department because now they want to raise their first party games to $80. Now, they say they don't know which ones. Most likely it's every one of them. And here's the thing. There's no real reason to raise the cost of games to $80. To be honest, this is basically similar to what Nintendo did to raise their first party games to $80 immediately. Because this is now greed. This is the greedy part. Now, here's the thing. They have so much profit that they get for game development, for game sales and all that. And the game developers don't get much money. Here's the thing. If your reasoning to raise these game prices is that the extra profit goes to the developers, the engineers, the testers, the people who are working in the studios, then fine. I'll pay $80 for Mario Kart World, knowing that the extra $10 I'm paying for it, which that game should be $70, if the extra $10 is going to the Mario Kart World developers. In reality, it's not. It's going to Nintendo because they're going to take the money and say like, hey, this is going to be extra profit for us. This is the same issue with Microsoft. Unless this extra money, this extra cost of the game price is going to developers who deserve more money, then there's no good reason that the game should go to $80. And why are they going to $80? This is all Nintendo. Nintendo started this trend. And now every developer is going to come back saying, my game needs to be $80 because Nintendo did it, and people are going to buy Nintendo, so now I need to raise mine as Microsoft because if I do it too, then I'm going to get more money just like Nintendo will. You don't, and again, today there was an announcement about Grand Theft Auto 6. It's delayed to May 26th of 2026. Next year, not this year, fall. I believe it was going to be next year anyway. I didn't think Grand Theft Auto 6 was going to be this year. However, what's going to be the price of that game? Now, if it was coming out this year, you all know it was going to be $80. Now that's going to come out next year. And who knows with the Switch 2 coming out, with Mario Kart World coming out, with some of the Xbox exclusives now $80. Originally, you would think that Grand Theft Auto was going to be $80 at start, right? But now that's pushed back to next year. Who's to say Rockstar and Take-Two, who's to say they don't want to get the game starting at $90 or even $100 for the base edition? Sure, maybe they have more production development to do, but why choose a date a year away? Why choose after the next fiscal year? Easy, folks, easy. Because they may also be considering what the price of the game's going to be. And again, with the game being developed later on, who's to say they aren't going to change some graphics engine? Maybe there's some other graphics they want to put in. Again, with the year, it's more development, so it's more advanced stuff. So because of that, don't you think they want to boost the price as high as they can on the base edition by doing this? So it's all about timing the market, making more money as you can. That's what raising these game prices. Now it's $80 for the Nintendo Switch. For Mario Kart World, it's $80. I'm guessing the next Zelda is going to be $80. The next Mario 3D game is going to be $80. Who knows, something else may be $80. Maybe the next collection of something, who knows, maybe they put Bayonetta 3 remaster with Bayonetta 1 and 2 remaster for Switch 2. Maybe those are going to be $80 all combined together. Maybe $90. Who knows? But now Nintendo set the example. Microsoft is following. And here's the thing. The game console being expensive, unless you are a masochist or a sadist or someone who's just a collector, you usually only buy one console per generation, usually, if you get a console. Now, for instance, I have a PS5. I don't plan on buying the Pro. It's a waste of my money. Because I also now have a Steam Deck or one of the mobile PC gaming consoles, like an ROG Ally X. I have that. I can play on Steam. So, again, I'm a collector, so I buy multiple PC gaming consoles, but I only have one PS5. I do have multiple Switches, Switch OLEDs, but again, that's for me. I have the Steam Deck and Steam Deck OLED, but that's me. I don't even have an Xbox at all now. I don't have the Xbox Series S. I don't have the Xbox Series X. Because quite frankly, it's not for me. It's not a system that I want. So I don't purchase the Xbox. But, like I was saying, I only have one version of the console per generation. So most likely people are just going to have one console. And that's one big purchase. However, the games you buy constantly, you buy games because you want to try out the latest thing. You want to try out the newest thing. You want to be able to say like, hey, this is a game I'm interested in. You want to play it, and that could happen very often. A lot of people don't play the same game over and over. Maybe we do, but there's not many people that will play the same game over and over all the time. So if a game is going to cost so much, and let's say you play a new game every month or a new game every few months, that adds up. That's why games being so expensive makes no sense. Unless the money is going to the developers, then fine. But a lot of this money is not going to them. They're getting ripped off. So why does it feel good to pay $80 for a video game? Now we're getting to the point where we're close to what it was when gaming was still a niche market, where games are so expensive and the cartridges were like this big, and now they're this big, and yet they still cost the same amount. That's why, like I said, I don't like, and I will rail Microsoft because this is greed at work for Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony's next, putting their games at $80 if there is no good incentive to say. You can say development costs, then prove it. Prove it and then have people in the companies that work on these games say like they're getting paid more. Because if the only reason if they're getting paid more, then fine. But if they're not, the tooling, sure, but whatever. If the people are getting paid more, then what's the point? What's the point? Because a lot of people work on these that are making these beautiful games, and they're not getting paid much. why are they getting paid at all? Why we even bother at this point? At that point. So here's the thing. And again, I want to end this a shorter stream for today, just because again I'm a little ranty because I'm a little upset from family issues. But like I said, the console, I honestly, I give them grace for this because they didn't raise the cost of the Xbox. They raised the rest of the world. The rest of the world is suffering. But at least for us U.S. consumers, Microsoft is taking a huge hit on every console sold here still. They're going to, because of the tariffs. It's not once the tariffs hit, which there's no reason they're not going to right now at the moment. Microsoft is going to get slammed on every U.S. console. Unfortunately, they're trying to think the rest of the world's going to pay for it, but if they don't, then Microsoft's in a bind, and we're going to luck out for that. However, the games I don't excuse because, quite frankly, especially if you're going on all digital front, you're not manufacturing as much of the games. You may not manufacture as many physical copies. So what's the problem? It's all digital, so we might as well just do that. Just stick with that and just charge the same price and just put it at digital and just market the shit out of it. You have profit margins, use that to market shit. That doesn't have to go through the tariffs at all. But hey, I don't know. I see Nintendo raising prices. It sucks. I see Microsoft raising prices. It sucks. Part of it is understandable because, quite frankly, they're taking a hit. The companies are taking a hit on the manufacturing, so whatever. But in terms of the games, it's really ridiculous. And now there's another topic which I may think about doing as another topic: the danger of having too high prices in video gaming. Because this is the thing that started to make the movie industry, at least the movie theater going industry, start to slide back, because the prices were getting too extravagant without much benefits, incentives, that people would probably stop going, just decide to pirate or stream online and wait until it goes on a streaming platform. Are we getting to that point of gaming now? And I want to leave that as a topic to discuss. Either Monday, if I don't talk about the Nintendo Switch 2 game key cards, or this is a topic I wait for the next Friday to talk about. But again, I want to just sign up for now. I'm not feeling the greatest mentally after my faux pas with family before this. But again, this has been Tosa Fujinami, aka Tosa Senpai, just providing the other side of the story. And again, always ask yourself, who, what, where, when, why, and how of a story. Never just take the what. Don't just take things at face value, and think critically of everything. Again, this has been Tosa Fujinami, aka Tosa Senpai, and thank you for listening. I'll see you all on Monday night for the next podcast, gaming podcast thought video. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.